Welcome, everybody, to Warriors Over 50. And I'm delighted to have another guest on the show that, in a way, is a privilege because what I don't get to see very often on social media is someone who exposes themselves and makes themselves vulnerable. Vulnerability for me is what I call bravery. It's you're going through something, you don't have all the answers, you know the direction you're going, I would say, but you're prepared to share that journey, strengths, wins, and struggles as you go along. And this was a guy this is going to be our first conversation, which makes it more genuine as well from my perspective. I'm just delighted to introduce, and then we'll go through questions. Kurt Haas, thank you very much for joining me, sir. A privilege.
Thank you, Jonathan. It's a privilege for me. It's an honor.
Thank you. Well, what I'd really like to say is how I got to know you is, in a way, I'm going through a journey myself. And then
Hmm.
I started seeing a couple of people, and you were one of them. And you get up and you take a picture of yourself in a pair of shorts or underwear. I'm not quite sure because I've seen
Yeah,
different comments
yeah,
every
yeah,
day. And
yeah.
to be brave enough to do that and show people I'm getting back in shape or I'm working on it, but here's me every day raw. Well, like a lot of people, when they go through any sort of change, even one of the difficulties, if they don't do what you're doing, is even hopping up on the scales every day, is looking at the truth in numbers. That's one level. But yours went to a completely other level of saying, here, look at me, this is who I am. So that's kind of what attracted me to say, hold on, I'm going to follow this guy. I kind of like that raw strength and vulnerability and say, I reached out to you, started following, commenting, and I thought I'd love to have a conversation with you and kind of hear what got you to that level of bravery, desperation,
Yeah,
foolishness,
yeah,
all of the above. I don't know the
yeah.
answer. So I'd love to hear what brought you to there, Kurt.
Sure. So, yes, I get up every morning and I take a picture in my underwear and I hike them up a little bit to show off the quads a little bit. And it's very much like you said, it's to really put myself out there for myself, really. At the end of the day, I'm doing this for me,
Yeah,
but I'm doing it in such a way that I'm committing to such a high level that I don't want to look like an asshole. Do you know what I mean? So I put it out there on
absolutely.
social media. That's my social contract. We hear about that where, if you want to do something big, make some social contracts with your groups and stuff so that it helps with your accountability. So again, I'm 56 years old. I'm 10 years sober. I'm probably in the best shape of my life now, but I mean, about 4 years ago, I was 398 pounds. 3 years ago, I was 398
Wow.
pounds. I've always been a power lifter. I've always owned gyms. I've owned supplement stores. I've been in the strength and conditioning field since my 20s. I became a very good bench presser because I started off as a really shitty bench presser as a kid off the
Okay.
farm. And that classic, if you're big, you should be strong mentality. I was 19 in the gym and I could deadlift 300 pounds pretty quick. I could squat 300 pounds pretty quick, but fuck, I was struggling with like 100 pounds on the bench press. Well, nothing on the farm prepares you to push things. It's always lift and carry and that kind of
Sure.
stuff. So that was
Yeah.
that natural farm strength that I had. But again, I didn't know that kind of shit. I'm big, I should be strong. And I'll never forget this. I was in the gym one day struggling with this 100 pounds, and this little. I'm in Canada and I'm in Ontario, and I grew up on the Quebec side, which is French, so I'm bilingual, so English and French. And I was training in the gym. I was, maybe a month and a half in my first gym,
Yeah.
and I remember a guy comes and sits beside me in the bench press, a little bodybuilder guy, a little French guy, comes in, hammers out 315, three plates, goes outside and has his fucking smoke. And I remember sitting there going, "What the fuck happened?" What the fuck? This guy's tiny. He's in good shape, but he destroyed me on the bench. And that's when I
Yeah.
realized that I had a lot to learn about strength and I had a lot to learn about that. And bench press was my worst and it became my best exercise because I threw everything in it to learn about it. And this is before the internet. So if a muscle mag came out, there was always articles on bodybuilding, but there was very little on powerlifting. So I would just devour that and I trial and error and trial and error and trial and error. So I became a really good bencher. And then I
Fantastic.
started competing. And then one day, a buddy of mine suggested we open a gym, so we opened up a small gym, and that's how I got into the gym business. Now, along the way, I always wanted to be a bodybuilder. Arnold was my hero from the fucking get-go.
Fantastic.
I just didn't have the confidence to do it. I didn't have the inner strength to do that kind of stuff. And that's always been the story of my life, the inner confidence, the inner turmoil, that kind of stuff, that I think we all face to a certain degree, but those of us that struggle deeply because of it. And along the way, I opened a gym, I opened a supplement store. I was very capable when I put my mind to things, but I was also easily distracted because of the inner demons and the things that I hadn't dealt with. So along the
Sure.
way, I became very big, powerful. So, everyone would come to see me for bench press advice because I was a big, powerful bencher. But at 350 and 398 pounds, the knowledge I had for weight loss was very good. Because I'm 20 years in the industry, my strength and conditioning was very good, but I definitely wasn't walking the walk of any type, right?
Gotcha.
And inside, I was always conflicted about that. Inside, I always wanted to be the jacked motherfucker. I always wanted it, but
Yeah.
I was missing that confidence, and I was missing the energy to go after it because I was broken on a lot of levels, emotionally, how I grew up and things like that. Being an
Sure.
alcoholic, there's a lot to work on, and that held me back along the way. So I've reinvented myself a few times over the 56 years, and it's always been the gym that's been the platform that allows me to do it. I had a friend one time tell me just before COVID, I had a big gym, I had a clothing line going, accessories. I'm very good at starting things. I'm very powerful and passionate, but I
Fantastic.
suck at the details and I suck on the quiet, right? Where you need to reflect and do the small things and stuff. So that's where I struggled a lot, and it always pulled me sideways. So obviously at that time it was booze, food, that kind of thing. So I got really fat and I got really tired and I got really broken.
So you've done a tremendous job. You brought up a couple of questions, but I'll
Yeah.
start with the first one that comes to my head is you've been in that position where people, they're tired, they're trying their best, they're doing what they can. Things have got on top of them, whether it's from their childhood or it's their work or their relationships or their finances or whatever else it is.
Yeah.
But yet you now, and this is the funny part of the question, is you're now showing the strength of a bodybuilder on stage, even when you're not in the shape of a bodybuilder who wants to be. So for me, the strength is already there. So won't it be so good when you actually get up on stage and you've got a body to match it? But my question, sorry, I don't know. All of that came into my head because it was quite
Yeah.
interesting. What you had to say was those people who are struggling. There must have been a couple of inspirations, moments of light, or moments of pain. I'm not quite sure that kind of said, Kurt, get your shit together, man. I gotta man up. Or I'm not sure what you said to yourself. I don't want to put words in your mouth. Tell us about it.
You're absolutely right on those levels. I think we're going to figure out, we get to a point where we either realize, hey, I got to do something about this. And we have that incredible moment of clarity of what we can do or what we want to do. More often than not, I think we run into a bottom. We
Yeah,
get to the lowest of the low where we feel that's it. I can't get any fucking lower. And I swear, I hope that's all right.
sure,
Uh,
work away.
yeah, and I think about just at your lowest. What's the word I'm looking for when we get to the lowest? We call it
Bottom of the
uh,
barrel, or
yeah, it'll come to me. But I think those are actually blessings. I really do.
okay,
I think when we hit our rock bottom,
yeah,
there is no other direction but up, right? And I think sometimes for us, it takes that desperation that you talked about, where you're like, "Fuck, I can't do this anymore," right? I've just had enough and stuff. I truly believe inside all of us there is genius and there's untapped potential. And I think
yeah,
the unfortunate part is how we started in life. The first 5 to 10 years of our development are so crucial to being
for
able
sure.
to naturally tap into those things or access those things or be taught or shown how to live a life at that level. That if we don't have those experiences and we don't have that, I think we're trapped and we're stuck and we're in a terrible cycle. So for me, what I'm posting lately, I call it Curd 3.0. Because if I look back on my life, there's been three. This is the third uh, reversion or final bottom where I said, this is enough. Like you said, pull yourself off the fucking ground by your bootstraps. Let's go,
Yeah,
Hoss. And I talk to myself when I'm like that. Let's go, Hoss, motherfucker. Get this shit done. That's my inner
yeah,
voice. And it just, I'm like, I've had enough. Let's go. My favorite movie of all time is Rocky 2. And to me,
fantastic.
if I could sit there and say, hey, they made a movie about my life, how I feel, it is that. Everything from fucking the failure of the first one, getting ridiculed, fighting your own demons, your own confidence, finding an inspiration he finds with his wife, telling him to fucking go for it. And he goes, and at the end, he does it. And he's like, at the end, yo, Adrian, I did it. Like, I'll watch that movie 100 times and I still get the same goosebumps all the time. And that's what I use sometimes even to fire my shit up. So there was a point, the third time comes around, I know exactly what to do. And most of us know exactly what to do. No one's
Yeah,
out there anymore going, really? Working out's good for us? Really? Eating well is good for us? You're living under a rock if you don't know that. But in this day and age of more information at our fingertips than ever before, you'd think we'd all be superior beings at this point. But we're in more trouble than ever, I find, because there's also so much influence and distraction and things like that. And we can feed the machine, we can feed the negativity or we can feed the positivity. And if we're stuck
absolutely.
in that turmoil, we'll feed that turmoil, right? So for me, yeah, it was literally that. I had a friend a while back, and he said to me, he's been a training partner of mine for 20 years. Not too many people know me that well, see me at my best, see me at my worst. And he says, Kurt, every time you get in better shape, your business improves, your life improves. You know, he goes, I love you, and I'm going to tell you this: you need to be in the gym. And
Hmm.
coming out of COVID at 398 pounds, I just shut down my gym. I just had enough. I imploded. I had all this time on my hands. I had some equipment in my gym, my garage in Canada was, coming out of the spring and stuff. So it was a little chilly. But I hated working out. I was done with it. I was frustrated. I just closed the gym, right? I hated training people. And I didn't hate any of that. I just fucking hated myself. So I hated everything because I was looking at everything through those lenses. And I
Yeah.
was so I went in one day and I said, you know what? Let's just do a bicep workout. And I went in and I did a bicep workout and it felt pretty good. Next day I went in and said, let's do some shoulders. And I went and did some shoulders. And I just started chipping away at it. So then what I decided, because the amazing part of me comes to the surface and says, you know what?
Yeah.
Fucking do this. You've got the time, more time than ever before. We're shut down in COVID. You got nothing else doing and stuff like that. You usually work 19 hours a day. Now you work 0 hours a day. So, and I was getting the COVID relief at $2,000 a month. My business was struggling so much a year and a half before, I wasn't even taking home $500 a month. So I was like the
Wow.
most money I've ever had. It was crazy. My wife has a great job. She supported us through the thick and thin. She's an amazing woman. So, we've always had a decent lifestyle, even at the lowest, to which I owe everything to her for, obviously. And then I just started working out and I lost 20 pounds because I know what I'm doing. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to post this on Facebook because you know what? I need that accountability. I love social media. If you follow me now, you see I post shit all the
Sure.
time. It's more structured now because I'm doing some different things. But it started. I took a picture of my underwear at 380 pounds. And I said, guys, this is what I'm doing. And then it became 375 and then 372. And one day I was walking into the Walmart parking lot up here, and a buddy of mine who I used to train at gym, he's like, Kurt. I'm like, hey, Steve. He goes, I see what you're doing. I go, you train me? I go, well, it's COVID. We have to do it in the garage. We have to smuggle you in
Sure.
like fucking drug runners and stuff. And he's like, I don't care. And he goes, how much? And I'm like, fuck, I hadn't even thought about it. So I'm like, I threw a number out for 10 sessions. He's all right. I'll e-transfer you right now. And I'm like, oh, all right. So I started training this guy in my garage
Brilliant.
and he loved it and it was hardcore. We had a heater going in there. It couldn't get more Rocky 2 than that. And then as I kept posting, people kept reaching out. People kept asking. Another guy asked, another girl asked. Dude, by the time I'd lost 40 pounds, I was training 12 people out of my garage. I was making more money than I'd ever made in my life in my garage
Fantastic.
training people.
Fantastic.
And it all started with me posting pictures of me in my fucking underwear. So on this new version, I changed. I dropped a lot of weight. I started up a partnership with someone 2 years ago, and we were focused on that. We opened up a little thing, and things were going really well until it became obvious that I was doing all the work, and then we had some issues. So I ended up having a partner breakdown. I ended up just leaving a business, getting
Sure.
sued. So I got sued for $1 million last year. I filed for bankruptcy back in June. So here I am at 56 years old, 3.0, starting everything over. Physically, I gained, went back to 319 pounds because obviously I turned to food and stress.
Sure.
Uh, and I said, I can't fucking do that anymore. So I said, you know what? Go back to what works. And the very first thing I did was take a picture of me in my underwear, post it, and start back from there. So that commitment is the thing that really started everything for me.
So one of the guys who I know who's a really good coach in the financial space, he
Right?
actually released a post yesterday, which I think you'll enjoy, Kurt. He said,
Okay.
of the millionaires, they have all gone through approximately 3.1 major upsets. Non-millionaires have only gone through about 1.6, so one or two. So they
Right.
haven't pushed the pedal to the metal. the people who have actually done well at the end have actually had at least three failures. So
Yeah.
it's almost like a sign you're going the right direction.
Finally, I'm at three.
And maybe, some people say, well, if you knew, $10 million was only 20 no's away, you'd be looking for the no's type thing. You know what I mean?
Right?
Okay, I'm on number three,
Absolutely.
four. And it sounds like I love the fact that you'll take the risk and just go for it. Another question popped into my mind as you were talking, because you recently there showed pictures, I think, with your daughter,
Yeah.
which is fantastic. Like, one is, if a dad is prepared to do that, that must give her, as your daughter, an awful lot of pride. And I imagine just being so truthful about where you're really at has also, and this is what I want to ask you, is how does it change your relationships? Never mind the body.
Yes, very, very good point. So my daughter's 21, my son is 23. They're about 2 years
Yeah,
apart. Beautiful kids. Coming from where I come from, I'm a pretty good dad for sure. Even when I was drinking in the midst of my alcoholism, I didn't beat my kids. I didn't, rage at them. I didn't do that kind of stuff. I was more absent on some situations than anything else. So I think the blessing is they got to see the first half of their life at my worst, and they've
sure.
seen the last half of their life becoming my best and going through some adversity. Obviously, getting sober is a big thing. Rebuilding my business, the ex partner meltdown, lawsuit, bankruptcy. Um, they see me going through this, and part obviously because I have these two children and an amazing wife. I really want to do it in the most stoic way possible, so that I can show them that no matter what happens, I handled it as good as I could, no matter what. Right.
Fantastic.
And the biggest thing I hang on to, and I've posted about it recently, is that through all the shit I've been through and all the sideways and, little zing, a little left and right, dealing with stuff, I've hung on to my sobriety no matter what. And to me, that's like the one thing, no matter how bad things get, that's the one thing I fight for, so that I don't lose that. And that's the one thing I know I can build off anytime. So, see my kids see that some problems with the US, all good. I was working with a guy I shouldn't have been working with, but anyway, that's a different story. So I was afraid to go across the border because
Yeah,
I had at one point going across the border, I was apprehended by the U.S. Marshals and I spent 30 days in federal penitentiary till everything got worked out and stuff. When they were little, they were like 4 and 6. Worked it all out, cost me a lot of money, learned big lessons. I was technically allowed to go back to the States, but I was a little gun shy, obviously. And when they were 10 and 12 and the trip was up, I was very afraid to go across the border with them for a few reasons. One, I didn't want to get apprehended in front of them because you never know how things are going to go at the border. I
sure.
didn't want them to see that. I also did not want to go through that again, right? That kind of thing. So I missed out on a huge, huge event in their lives that I regret to this day. So I've really tried to spend this second half of, especially my sobriety, making up for it, trying to, you can't redo things, obviously,
Sure.
but my goal is when I can be with them is to be with them, have great conversation with them, have tough conversation with them. My kids, because I've gone through so much, and they see everything. People think that their kids don't know what's going on or full of shit. They might not understand it, but they're
I
aware when
get
things
it.
are good and when things are bad. So, right, don't pretend that's not the case. So for them to see me come through things is super important, right? And I think that's also what shaped them. And I watch as they go through their stuff. And as a parent, you got to let them go through stuff. But I'm there to advise, and I do bring a lot of street cred to the advice because of all the shit I went through.
Sure.
And yeah, so one of our favorite things doing together, father daughter, father son, is working out. They love the gym, they work out, they've
Fantastic.
been around since they're little. So anytime I get a daddy daughter day in a gym, or father son day in a gym, it's one of the highlights for me. And the same for my kids. And we love working out, and we have a good time and stuff. And yeah, I threw on a camera impromptu like that because I shoot videos every day. But it means a lot to me. It really means a lot to me that through all this shit, I can still be a good dad and now work on being an even better dad.
Yeah, one thought, another thought, because I'm going through, I wouldn't, a different process, but I think there's common elements. And one thing that I'm finding the fact that I let myself go physically, and I'm kind of interested in your perspective, is one is I put on weight, but the other is I kind of was fragmented, as in I wasn't really honest even with myself. So one of the biggest things when I'm decided to make the decision to we say put myself in better shape last July, I had to tell the truth to this little fucking tracking app. I used to eat chocolate, stick it under the bed, or, not hide it from other people, but they knew I was doing it anyway. It didn't
Yes.
really make any difference. But actually deciding to be honest with myself, and not just honest with myself, also sort of keep my word to myself more often. So having more integrity, I'll call it, which is about honesty, about transparency, that for me is the biggest win, Kurt. So when someone comes to me and says, "Oh, I want to lose weight," I kind of guess there's a lot more behind that person than just a physical body. That's almost just the symptom of what they're not doing. And you've been through a lot, so I'd love your perspective on something like that.
So, nail on the head. Listen, when we're not at our best physically, it's because of what's happening internally. I tell people this all the time. You look in the mirror, and when you look in the mirror, what's looking back at you is every belief you have, every standard you have for yourself, and every habit that you have for yourself. So if you look in the mirror and you're 100 pounds overweight, 30 pounds overweight, you're tired, you look like shit because you haven't shaved, you haven't done any personal presentation, all that is how you think in your head, just being shown back at you. So listen, the worse shape we get, the mirrors get higher off the ground, so we only see our faces and stuff, right? You know,
Sure.
when I was 398 pounds, I was rocking a great beard, and I go get my beard trim every 3 weeks and stuff like that because I wanted a massive, and I got lots of compliments on my beard. But you know what I fucking hated was getting called Fat Santa all the time. I
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
hated it. You know why I hated it? Because it was fucking true. I was a fat
Yeah,
Santa,
yeah.
right? The very anti thing I ever wanted to be is what I had become. Now I'm a Jack Santa. I love that. I'll take that every fucking
Oh,
day.
fantastic.
The other day, but it is really that you're right on. When someone has these external issues going on, it's because of the internal conflict that's happening. That's 100%. You want to fix anything on the outside, it all happens on the inside. You're mad at someone 90% of the time. You're mad at yourself, and it's manifesting on someone. No, unless someone truly did something specific to you. But 9 times out of 10, when we're frustrated at someone, we're frustrated with ourselves. Because if we had our shit together, we
Sure.
wouldn't be bothered by all these things. If we have our shit together, chocolate would be something we have once in a blue moon when yeah, you know what, I want some chocolate. Oh, there's an
Sure.
opportunity, right? That kind of thing, right? Same with booze, same with food. For me, booze was a lot easier to give up because I wasn't physically addicted to it. I was emotionally addicted to it. I was socially addicted to it, right? That's how I look at it. No, it's 45 degrees outside and it's hot and it's a golf game. Yeah, I do miss a frosty pitcher of beer for
Sure.
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 There's beer in the house. My wife drinks, my kids drink. I have no problem with it. That's not the reason that I was an alcoholic. I was an alcoholic, or I am an alcoholic, because of the internal struggles and trauma that I have to overcome and fix. So at the end of the day, it's all inside. You want to get jacked on the outside, fix the inside. Now, the hard part I find is attacking the internal because there's a lot to unfold there. There's a lot to peel back. There's a lot of fear,
Yeah.
anxiety. We've stuffed some shit way far back that we've done it to survive. We've done it to get through things. So it's hard to stop to go from being broken, unhealthy, and tired and step right into that fucking fist fight. That's hard. But what we can
Absolutely.
do, get to the gym because what I like about the gym is we can do something physically immediately. And you get to the gym, that's a win. You do a workout, that's a win. You get a little blood flow, you get a little pump in the arms, it fucking feels good. And then you get the
Mm-hmm.
endorphin release, so you get the chemical release. It's the fastest way for us to feel good mentally, physically, and emotionally is get to the gym. The platform is the iron. In iron we trust. It's one of my sayings because
Yeah, yeah.
it will always be there for us. And we can build on that immediately. And then you get 30 workouts in, you're thinking a bit different. You get 30 workouts in, you're feeling a bit different. So even if you're
Mm-hmm.
not even trying to work on the internals, it's going to start to happen.
And then this is my experience when you get success in one area, and that area is, for example, your body, because it's an easier one to maybe work with, and it's more under your control than other areas of your life, because relationships require other people, finances requires the market. They all have
Yeah.
some more dependencies, but it
Yeah.
gives you the strength and confidence and competence within yourself to, oh, maybe I can apply some of these good principles I'm learning about taking care of my body to those other areas.
Stack the wins, right? Create the wins, make them small at first, make them manageable. You know, if we sit there and say, I want to lose 100 pounds, that's such a big and far off goal that the odds of us making it are pretty shitty. But if we sit there and say, I want to lose 100 pounds, but it's going to start with the first 10 pounds. And that first 10 pounds is going to start with me going to the gym every day. And that's going to start with me buying a gym membership and a pair of shoes,
Yeah,
right? So we break it down, 50-meter goals, start hitting those things. I work with myself and a lot of my clients with these, I call the 4 daily non-negotiables. And every day, no matter what, and as early as possible, you have to nail these. And so it goes with food mastery. That means have your food
yeah,
plan, have your food measured, that kind of thing. Number two is exercise.
yeah.
Number three is mindset. And number four is personal presentation, right? So take a fucking shower, shave your face, shave your hair. If you're gonna wear a beard, trim the beard. If you're not, then shave it, right? Take a fucking shower. You know, that's some of the stuff that COVID was terrible. People cocooned and sat in their house and wouldn't shower for weeks and wore a t-shirt because they had to go on video. It was the worst thing. But those 4 daily non-negotiables, food mastery, exercise, mindset, and personal presentation, we 1000% in our control. Nobody can fuck with that. The only person that fucks with that is us. So if that doesn't
Yes.
happen, it's because we didn't do it. So if we line those up and we get them done as soon as we can during the day, those are 4 wins that no matter what type of day you had, you've got those 4 wins to build on.
Brilliant.
Those 4 non-negotiables will pull you through the days you're not motivated. Those 4 non-negotiables will pull you through on the days where you feel like crap, right? It's fucking 11:30. It's not midnight yet. Go do the fucking workout. Go get it done. Do 50 push-ups. Do 20 squats, right? So those 4 non-negotiables to me are the key, and they're the 4 pillars in how we work with stuff that we have all the control on, and hitting them will move us forward whether we fucking like it or not.
Absolutely. I think they're great sort of guidelines or guardrails to keep you on
Yeah,
track. I,
absolutely.
Another thing that I've learned a lot personally, I used to train younger 6, 7 days a week, martial arts, weights, doing everything, but I did it out of pure energy, Kurt. And I will tell you that I didn't know a lot about nutrition, and I've tried about 20 different types of diets and whatever. And there's a lot of misconceptions about what does now. I'm 18 months into this. I have very simple answers, which you probably know backwards. But what I'd love to ask is, what are the most common misconceptions or myths that don't really work that people have around, we'll say food, like calories or whatever
Sure,
else it is?
absolutely.
Because, I actually was so ignorant, it's unbelievable. And now I'm de-ignifying myself, if that's a word. I don't think I'm getting cleverer. I'm just removing the ignorance, and that's helping tremendously.
So when it comes to food, I think it's our biggest, I think it's the biggest abuse, it's the biggest drug that's out there is food. And in today's thing, I mean, you can watch a podcast on the internet and on YouTube, and there'll be 9 commercials for booze and burgers and chocolate and stuff like that, right? So no matter what message you're trying to deliver, bang, bang, bang all the way around you, right?
Absolutely.
So food for us, we tend to think it's complicated because we don't understand it. We're also afraid to give it up because and it feels good, right? And Friday night wings is amazing, right? Wednesday night wings, you deserve a break today because it's Wednesday. I'm like, for what? Because you got the fucking Wednesday. You were gonna get to Wednesday anyway, right? That kind of
Yeah,
stuff. But let's go celebrate Wednesday at half price wings and stuff. So food looks very complicated, but as you found out for yourself, when you start to understand what a protein is, what a carb is, what a fat is, what a gram is, right? And you start looking at labels and you start breaking it down and you start realizing that how to eat is so simple, it's
mm-hmm,
ridiculous. But you have to
mm-hmm.
get past that barrier of ignorance. There's a lot of emotion tied to it. Oh, I can never eat, I have to eat like this for the rest of my life. Well, my answer is twofold on that. One is yes, if you want to change, but if you make those changes and you start feeling so good, you're going to want to eat this way for the most part. You're going to
Yeah,
have your chicken wing night once in a while. You're going to enjoy it. You're going to realize all the stress it's putting your body through for the next 2 days as you digest it. You just got so used to it that you just thought you were normal. But when you start eating really clean and running clean, and you introduce these calorie rich, meals and stuff, and it clogs everything up, and you actually feel like crap the next day, you're like,
yeah,
wow, I felt like that every fucking day. I just got so used to it, right? So I think that's the big thing is that the simplicity overtakes it. There is some work at first to learn. So that's why you have to want to do this. You have to realize it has to be done. The two biggest things I want to drive home to people is this. Listen, I hear about this. Oh, the carnivore diet is the cure, or the high protein diet is the cure, or the Mediterranean diet, or intermittent fasting is the cure. None of them are the cure, right? What they are
Hmm.
methods of eating. The only way you lose weight is if you're in a calorie deficit. That's it. If you take
Yep.
in less than you burn, than you burn off, you're going to lose weight. So if you're following the carnivore diet and you feel satiated because you're eating protein, you're not as hungry, that's going to work at first because you're not eating as much, but eventually you're going to get used to it and you're going to be eating two steaks instead of one and that kind of stuff. And your calories are going to go high again and you're going to gain the weight back. So you need to monitor your calories. But if you find intermittent fasting works better for you because of the way your life is and the way your day schedule is, and that makes it more user friendly for you, and you maintain the deficit and you lose the weight, then that's the best one for you. If you love the carnivore because of the way you like it and it suits your lifestyle and you maintain the deficit and it works well for you, that's the best diet for you overall. At the end of the day, if we want to
Absolutely.
get leaner, we need a deficit. My other rule is eat enough protein. That's it. So if you want to be 200 pounds, eat 200 grams of protein. If you want to weigh 265 pounds, eat 265 grams of protein within your calories. Hit that deficit. Figure. So here's what's hard for people. Everyone says, well, I eat healthy. First off, bullshit, because you don't look like it. Number two, you have no clue how many calories you're eating. So until you know how many calories you're eating, what are you going to adjust? So you have to put some work in there. You have to take control of it. You want to fix your
Sure.
finances? Start looking at your fucking bank account every day, right? Cut your credit
Absolutely.
card up. Start doing those things. And you know what? You can be debt free in 3, 6, 9, or 12 months. You just got to do the work, right? So to
Absolutely.
me, that's the big two things is there's no magic diet plan. If you want to lose weight, it's maintaining a deficit and keep your protein high enough. Those are to me the two myth busters. You follow those two, everything happens.
So I thank you very much. I'm totally aligned with that. I made one, how to say, I had a moment. I was about 3 weeks into my first, okay, we'll track, we'll do calories. My wife's Italian, she makes fantastic food. And in the evening,
Yep.
there was a plate of pasta and fish and whatever else. But for the first time, I had, and at that time now, it's even a lot more because I was a lot heavier. I think I was on about 3,000 or 2,800 a day. I was actually coming to my limit, and the amount she had put on my plate went over the limit. I was 51 last year, Kurt,
Yeah.
and it was the first time I took food off my plate and I put it back. I swear to God, that was one of the most emotional moments because, hold on, if I'm going to respect this calorie thing, that means, hold on, I need to give back 100 grams or whatever it was of the pasta. And it's like, so, and I wanted to share that because that was like a moment of, I'm actually going to do the discipline thing rather than the impulsive, satisfy my short term needs for probably the first time in my life. And I'm wondering, because you've dealt with a lot of people, what are moments like that that your clients struggle with in the beginning? Because in a way, I'll tell you why mine is. I hate being told what to do. Authority and me have a bit of an issue. So even a calorie limit, even though it was good for me, I
Yeah.
still didn't like it, so I had to almost rebel against the limit that I put on myself. So I kind of want, that's my story. But I imagine you meet loads of people that struggle with, not with the food per se, but with the ideas in their head around how are they going to get on track, stay on track, or when they fall off, how do they get back on? What sort of things are helpful, Kurt?
Well, obviously, so and you're doing this as well. One of the most
Yeah,
powerful things we can do is a go through it ourselves. So
yeah,
the enlightenment you have is self-awareness because you went through it. So you already know more than 90% of anyone out there who's never done it because you've done it, right?
yeah,
That makes you an expert. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. I'm in better shape than most fucking nutritionists out there, right?
yeah,
You're in better shape than most nutritionists. If I line 10 nutritionists up, 8 or 9 of them would be overweight, right?
yeah.
So they're not practicing what they preach. They may know the science, but they don't know the doing. They don't know the feeling. They don't know, they can't connect to the fat person because they're not willing to deal with the fat person in them. So to me, that's a big difference. Number two is at the end of the day, when we start winning these things. And here's the thing when we're soft and we're broken and we're tired, we're soft, right? So we're weak. So we don't want any displeasure. We don't want any pain, right? We feel we're victims and we're justified. You know what? I deserve this. It's Wednesday. I deserve a break, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
yeah.
you, it's Wednesday. You had nothing to do with Wednesday. Wednesday was going to happen whether you were going to fight it or not. So you don't get the Wednesday win. Now, if you got to Wednesday and you lost 8 pounds in the last 2 weeks, and on Tuesday, you had a chance to do something and like the food thing and you adjusted, to me, wow, that's a pat on the shoulder on Wednesday because you handle Tuesday really well, right? But yes, it's in those wins. It's in that self-discipline. Growth and just and comfort cannot coexist. They just can't. We
Yeah,
have to be uncomfortable. We have to suffer. We have to suffer, and we're suffering one way or the other, right? So when I was
absolutely.
398 pounds and I was fat and I was miserable and I hated my life and I hated who I was and I was mad that I wasn't who I was supposed to be, right? And I
Hmm.
sat there and even then I knew all the answers. I just wasn't ready to fucking say that's enough. I'm responsible for this. So I had to toughen up. I had to say, fuck you. That's enough. Let's go. So you got to suffer. So when people ask me, am I going to be hungry? I go, a little bit. I said probably not because you've been eating shit food. So what you get out of that energy wise compared to chicken and rice and broccoli and beef and rice and broccoli is completely different. You're going to feel full. You're going to have trouble hitting your fourth meal, that kind of stuff, and you're going to be blown away by that because you're eating good quality nutrient dense food that takes time to break down. Whereas that bag of Doritos, you're already hungry again because A, half the shit they put in there makes you hungry again, but also the fact that you get no nutrient value from it, right? But yes, you have to also resign yourself that enough of the immediate pleasures, enough of the immediate feel goods, enough of the immediate dopamine hits over and over again. You have to start to delay pleasure. You have to start to delay rewards because you haven't fucking earned it, right? When someone says, well, when do I get a cheat meal? I'm like, motherfucker, you're 400 pounds because you started with all the cheat meals, right? That kind of stuff.
Did
It's
nothing but
time to
cheat.
step away, right? Exactly. You've front ended all your fucking cheat meals. It's enough. So there has to be a point where the person has to either hit that rock bottom or have that aha moment where they realize I have to change and I'm going to sweat internally and externally about it. That's just a matter of fact. You have to resign yourself to it's going to suck a bit, but it's going to suck a lot less than the big suck now.
So that's absolutely couldn't agree more. I have as I'm Warriors over 50, because I started this when I was over 50. I
Yeah.
didn't realize that I'm going to have to take things into consideration because I was as fit as anything when I was younger, running 5Ks in 18
Yeah.
minutes and doing the gym, doing kickboxing, whatever. So my recovery, my ability to do a million different things was there. I'd go and I'd be out all night, 3 o'clock, I'd get 2 hours sleep, have a shower in the morning, go back to college or whatever. That don't happen now, Kurt. So I have a few ideas, but I'd love, because you're actually even slightly older than me, but we're in a similar category of we're on the decline with our biology. So there
Right.
are additional considerations, and I'd love to hear what is it when you're over 35, 40, then you're already sort of on that pathway. Not necessarily, it depends on what you do. What are the things that I'd love to hear your story is when someone hits over the hill, what should they do? Or what should they not do differently than when they were younger? I have my story, but I'd love to hear how you
Yeah.
work with your clients.
So most of my clients are 40 to 60s who I deal with because
Okay.
that's what I track because that's where I'm at. So when I say I'm in the best shape of my life at 56, it's true. I'm in the best shape of my life ever at 56. Physically, I work out 6 days a week. My workouts are an hour and a half. People half my age can't keep up. But when I started this at 398 pounds, it was a bicep workout. It was 4 exercises and I was fucking gassed, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So our fitness and our conditioning can continue to improve. As we get older, it's a little slower, I agree, but I think it's also the untrained effect. It's just has been dormant as well, right? So yes, when we were younger, we got away with a lot of shit because we were younger. Our hormones level were at their highest and stuff.
Sure.
Definitely a factor. But I also think we romanticize a little bit of the past. I used to be able to do this and I used to be able to do that, right? And because we're looking at it from the perspective where we are now. So I'm not saying we couldn't do really crazy shit when we were younger, but it's sometimes not as crazy as we want to remember it. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff because we wish we were there. So So we broke up a little bit there.
We broke
So
up, sorry. Yeah.
it's okay. So, you're what, 51, 52?
I'm 52, going to be 53 next month.
There you go. So everything we do now in our 50s, we'll appreciate 10 times more than we did in our 20s and 30s.
Yeah.
because we've lived some life. We've been some ups, we've been some downs and stuff like that. When we were 20, we were just young and dumb and full of cum, just like they say. We couldn't
Absolutely.
appreciate anything. We're too busy just being fucking tornadoes and shit like that. So at the end of the day, we just we didn't appreciate the way we appreciate it now. I do believe if we did things before, we can do it again. I think we have to listen to our bodies, but we just have to prepare our bodies, right?
Sure.
Get to the gym, eat better. You lose 30 pounds, you're going to fucking move better and feel better. You work out every day and build on that. You're going to be able to do more today than you did 3 months ago, right? And again, at the end of the day, are there days where my back is sore? For sure there is, but not as sore as when I was 398 pounds and my kids had to put my fucking socks on for me because my back would go out all the time.
Wow.
It was
Yeah.
so bad there was times I had to take a shit in the shower because I couldn't sit down on the toilet, right?
Oh,
It doesn't get fucking worse than that. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Now
yeah,
I can
yeah.
take a dump in an airplane fucking toilet. Do you know what I mean? So
Excellent.
at the end of the day, we can fix so many things, right? So I think we have to look at age a little bit differently. I think we have to just tell ourselves, and I struggle with this. If I think about one of my current struggles is mentally, is I feel like I'm running out of time. I feel like my
Mhm.
runway is getting shorter because I am 56 years old, right?
Sure.
There's some days where it gets on me because I'm human, no matter how resilient I've become and the heroic version of myself I'm becoming, there's still days where I'm like, fuck, what did I do? What did I miss? What do I have to do? If I look at how my business career has been over 35 years, I should have been a millionaire 10 times over. But I fuck shit up. Now I'm going to
Sure.
do it because I'm not going to fuck that shit up. Right. And now because I'm doing the small things right and focusing on me and being the best version of me, all that stuff's going to happen organically because I'm taking care of me first and doing
Yeah.
it in such a way that it moves me forward. And no exceptions. We're going away. My in-laws, so I'm in Ottawa. My in-laws are in Toronto, about 500 kilometers away. We're going to go spend 3 or 4 days over Christmas. I've already lined up 4 gyms to work out at. Kids are coming with me for 2 of them and stuff like that.
Brilliant.
Like these are priorities. These aren't like it's nice. I'm on holidays. Well, just because I'm on holidays doesn't mean I eat like an asshole every day. Just because I'm on holidays doesn't mean I give up all the things that I should be doing and I enjoy doing. I just
Yeah.
plan them different, right? That's where we got to get our mind around it. So if you want to go anti-aging, start moving. You want to go anti-aging, eat cleaner, eat better. You want to go anti-aging, lose 20, 40, 60 pounds because that's what's weighing you down, no pun intended. That's what's making you older. That's what's shutting down your hormone production, right? Because you are in terrible fucking shape. And then because you're in terrible shape, you're taking meds for cholesterol and blood sugars and blood pressure and stuff. And all those meds are treating stuff that's hard on you to begin with. And all those meds are hard on you. So you
Yeah.
want to talk about what's aging us, it's putting ourselves in that situation where we have issues and conditions. And rather than if everyone just started going to the gym and started eating healthier, we would eradicate 90% of all those issues. That's
Brilliant.
simple.
Brilliant.
And then we're not
So
dealing with the side effects of the drugs for those issues.
I fantastic. On the mindset, because you mentioned that as one of your four pillars,
Yeah,
I want to tell you a little bit my story because then it
please.
would help. Before I started, I got to a point before like last year, last July, I got to a point where, oh, I did that when I was 22 and I did this and I ran that fast and these and I just got sick and tired of sounding like an old man in a pub looking back at the golden years and thought, I don't want to be looking back at my best. I want to be looking forward at my best. So I've decided now, and it's some hell of a challenge, that I'm going to beat my personal record, which is 18 minutes, 33 seconds for a 5K, right? I'm already 16 months in. Now I've lost the weight. I still need to add more muscle. My training in the running, and even if I project, it's minimum another year and a half. So to get to the best from where I was, it's a 3 year journey. So a lot of courses, and this is where I think you can demythify some of it. A lot of courses will be learn this in a certain time frame, 30 days, 60 days, or whatever. And
Yeah.
I just want you to share that within that amount of time, somebody can learn a framework, can learn the ideas, can begin to execute. But it's the beginning of the road. And like what I'm finding, and this is where I'd love I never knew too much about cutting, maintenance, and bulking as such. I know about bodybuilders, etc., but I was never in that world. Now I do 6 weeks of cut, 6 weeks of maintenance. 6 weeks. I normalize every 6 weeks. I'm not saying that's a good one, but the normalization allows me to keep going rather than stress for too long period of a time. And that idea of I'm going to have to hold that maintenance. Even when I reach the end of 3 years, I'm going to have to hold myself to that standard unless I want to fall backwards. So it's never going to be over. And I'm going to have to accept I'm not going to get my body into a great shape and then just retire. But then because I just become fat again or whatever, it's like I'm actually developing a new standard for my life. And that it's changed my whole, like, even about retiring at whatever time. I don't think about that. I'm okay, my standards are just going to change. How does that work with, I imagine you've hit that a lot, maybe more than me. I'm just going through it. As you can hear, I'm not even quite clear on it, but I think you get the idea.
Well, you're clearer than most because you're doing it. And here's
Yeah.
the thing. Another concept I talk about is that, the 250-pound version of Kurt, right? I want to get to 250. I'm going to be at 250. I'm going to be crazy lean, stage ready. It's a lot of work and stuff. But getting to that version, becoming that 250-pound version of Kurt, that version of Kurd thinks differently. That version of Kurd lives differently than the 270-ish pounds that I'm at now, right?
Sure.
Which is a lot different than the 398-pound version of Kurd did. So that 250-pound version of Kurd, right? That 17-minute, 5 kilometer run version of you, right? By the time you get there, you're not the same person anymore. You've
Oh,
evolved.
absolutely.
So that
Absolutely.
version of person is ready for the next challenge. That version of person would not want to go backwards because that's not who they are. You're not who you are. You shedded that skin. You've moved on. And that's, when people come in to see me at the gym, here's the hard part. For what we do as coaches and we want to build our brand, we have to market, right?
Sure.
So and unfortunately humans react to 21 days and 30 days and that kind of stuff because they're like, oh, that's what I'm looking for. The secret. I posted something the other day, the two secret not so secret secrets about nutrition, which was calorie deficit and protein intake. I just made a video 2 days ago on that, right?
Yeah.
People want to hear the secret. They look at me and they see, Kurt, what's your secret? I go, I'm in here every day, an hour and a half. I don't fucking miss anymore. I eat really clean. Why? But there's got to be something else. I go, yeah, I'm in here every day. I train for an hour and a half. I fucking sweat. I'm the only motherfucker in the gym 9 times I sweat out of the 10 that's gassed. That's fucking gasping for air and breathing and sweating, forcing my body to fucking change. So you can sit there now and someone said it to me just this morning in the gym, holy shit, Kurt, you're jacked again and what's going on? I go, yeah. He goes, it's nice. It must be nice. I go, it's fucking amazing, right? Because it is. But what they're looking at is they're trying to give themselves an excuse out. Wow, you're only able to do it because you're Kurd or you're special or you have a secret or you're doing something no one knows about, right? That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's bullshit. It's all bullshit. It's in the doing and in the becoming, right? So figure out, who you want to be down the road and then start to think about how that person thinks and how they live their life. The air is different when you're running a
Absolutely.
17-minute 5 kilometer.
Yeah, yeah.
The air is
Absolutely.
different when I'm 250 pounds. What I see is going to be different in the world at 250 pounds because that version of me is going to be different. So for me, when people start the journey, I tell them this: treat this like a journey. Treat this like it's a saga. Treat this like it's like, how the West was won and all those movies where it showed generations and stuff like that, right? Treat it like that. Getting in the gym. Everyone thinks they're a fucking expert in the gym after 6 months, 6 weeks, right? They've learned it all. I've been doing this for 35 years and I'm still learning and stuff. And I'm in the best shape of my life and I'm still learning. And I said, because back when I started that bicep workout, I said, you
Yeah.
know what? This is going to be a way of life. This is going to be like martial arts. This is going to be a lifestyle. This is going to be a process, right? That kind of stuff. It's an art form and you want to be the artist.
So what I'd love to know is what sculpture are you going to create, Kurt? Tell us about the future of Kurt 3.0.
So Curve 3.0 is to get down to that 250. I'm going back to hit a powerlifting meet, my first powerlifting meet in a long time, end of January, but at an all-time low body weight. I want to be 269 pounds for that, which puts
Wow.
me in two categories lower than I've ever competed at. My lifts won't be as heavy as when I was 398 pounds, but they'll still be very good. And that's a switch I've had to make. Now, it's not because I'm older that I can't bench almost 600. It's because I weigh 140 pounds less that I can't bench 600. But I am looking to break 500, which is still amazing, right?
Wow.
Um, and I'm deadlifting. I just started deadlifting competition wise recently, so I have some goals there. But it's to do it in a weight category that I've never been before. And then from that point on, I'm looking at doing a bodybuilding show, my first one ever. I'd like to do it at the end of 2025. The only
Yeah.
thing that I have to watch is if I have too much loose skin, I might have to go in and have skin removal first because I'm not going in there with a
Oh, yeah.
pancake flat. However, I am pushing as if I'm going to do it. And then when I'm done that, going into 26, I actually do want to start running. I want to start training for 50-mile runs and some crazy shit. I've run a couple 5Ks when I was heavier. I'm just
Yeah.
looking for what's the next challenge? What's the next challenge? And do shit that I never thought I would do, let alone the world who knows me never thought I would do, but jacked as fuck along the way. And then in the same thing, always making sure that I'm just better and better, leading the way so that I live the life that I've always wanted to live at the highest level. And along the way, be a leader and help and train other men to do the same thing for themselves. So that's
Fantastic.
it.
That's a life to look forward to, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Every day
Brilliant.
matters at that point, right? Every meal matters. Every talk matters. Every conversation matters. Every hug matters. It really does because that's how we're going to build ourselves up to that. The only way.
Brilliant. Well, you know what? Thanks very much for. I
Oh,
love the
thank you.
energy of the
Yeah.
conversation, Kurt.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
It's
I
kind of
love it,
like
man. Listen, I'd like to do this with you and have a story and find out about you. Let's do this again a little down the line where we get to talk and break you down. Same, your podcast, but let's do it with you and tell
love
your
to.
story because your story is the most important story that you're ever going to tell, right?
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
having a platform to do it is super important. The problem is we get so busy doing it for others that we forget about ourselves. So I have another friend of mine that has a podcast. I'm going on his podcast a little later in the new year, but I told him, I said, we're going to flip it on another episode where I'm going to interview you because I want him to tell his story because his story is is the best story for him, right?
I
And I
love
want to
that.
see that happen more and more.
Brilliant. Absolutely love it,
Awesome.
Kurt.
Awesome. But
Thank you very much. Well, where would people find you? Because like people are going to want to now go,
yeah.
shit,
So
I want to do it.
yeah, yeah. So Kurt Haas on Facebook. Most of my clients 40 to 60, we're on Facebook a lot. So Kurt Haas on Facebook. I have a new program that we're working on called the Silverback Blueprint, which is a 12-week online coaching program to take people that are starting and get them eating and training. And we have an app and we do all that stuff so we can work with them. And in the 12 weeks, lose 20 to 30 pounds and build 10 to 12 pounds of muscle and the mindset stuff. So we're just launching that now. So, but no, Kurt Haas on Facebook, best way to do it and stuff. And like me, friend me, that kind of stuff. Reach out if you have any questions and stuff. I really want to give. I really want to help. That as well as I do is if we give, we're gonna get. That's the way it is and
That's
stuff
right.
like that. And my personal brand is only gonna grow with the more people I help. And your job and my job is for us to lead from the front and be the example.
Absolutely.
That's it, right? Like I said it earlier about you, and I mean it. You've come so far, which makes you a leader, and and someone who knows what they're doing and an expert because you have done it. Whereas so many people, they think about it, they write about it, they talk about it, but you have fucking done it, which puts you at the forefront of everybody else.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Kurt. And I look
Thanks, my
forward
brother.
to
Well,
flipping on it. You know what I mean? And
yeah, yeah, absolutely, buddy. Yeah,
2025
I really mean that. I'd like to do that in the future with you.
and 2025, we're gonna follow your powerlifting and
Yeah,
bodybuilding competitions and
yeah, yeah. More
watch the
underwear
future
talk.
be well, watch it be creative. Maybe better underwear. No, no, I'm joking.
Awesome, my brother. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Kurt. Take
Have a
care.
good one.